Stew Fraser is a very funny guy and a tremendous football player, too. Let's get Stew Fraser on our screen from Moncton Chrysler. He's smiling already.
It looks great.
Lynch, when's the last time you saw Stew Fraser? Have a look at this guy.
How about 1985, Stu? Eh? Our Riders lost to Edmonton, and I was talking to you after the game.
Yeah, that my other life.
Your other life.
And you do have that great punt return at home, don't you, on video? That great punt return for a touchdown that you did do at Taylor Field, right? What'd you say?
I could not find that.
He couldn't find it, John. Okay, just pause for a second. I knew you get two football guys together and this happens. Fireworks, they're excited. Stuart, good to see you again, my friend. It's been a couple of years. Thanks for being part of the show today down at Moncton Chrysler Superstore. Darren Burns, a good friend of yours, obviously, long time. He's going to come back at the age of 57, the former CFLer and play for the Moncton Mustangs. What's your role in this? What's your view and your perspective on how this is all played out?
Well, I'm not terribly surprised. He's such a go-getter. I mean, since I met him in the last couple of years, he's just a football fanatic. He loves it. And, maybe at first a little bit surprised, but now when you sit back and think of it, he'll do anything for football, and it's great for publicity for football. I mean, football is one of those things that a lot of times many people, when they finish playing high school football, it was over because you don't get together at the local field and play football, like you could hockey or basketball. But, he's brought it to, the senior league, and you can play to a ripe old age as long as you keep your health.
Well, I'll tell you what, and so the comments are going crazy from our viewers here. Stew Fraser, Riders royalty, says John. Wayne in Victoria says, wow, Stew is looking good. He's always got a smile on his face, as you can see. And I jumped into this too soon. Stew Fraser, born in Minto, New Brunswick, wide receiver, defensive back, 5'10", 180. Lynch says that's not accurate. He doesn't think you're 5'10", Stuart. College, New Brunswick. Played in the CFL from 1980 to 1986. So that's your story. But you're a proud New Brunswick guy, man. Can you just talk about playing in the CFL as a guy from the Maritimes? It's not overly rare, but it's not overly common either. Man, that had to be a proud thing for you when you got to the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, I like to, as far as I know, I'm the only New Brunswicker who's done all their amateur football in province. I didn't go out of province to university. I'm the only one that went on to the CFL that did everything in New Brunswick. And, I'm kind of proud of that. And as a matter of fact, when Darren was involved in the golf tournament a couple years ago we were down for, he decided since I was so ingrained in New Brunswick, he put me golfing with our premier. I thought that was quite a nice touch.
Now that I think, I got to have a word with that premier, though, because I was told we were going to be allowed into New Brunswick to do our show live Thursday and Friday, and the government said, nope. What's COVID been like for you guys, Stuart, out there? Because we've heard about the bubble, but it hasn't been a lot of fun out here. What's it been like in the Maritimes?
You're not going to like my answer. Not too much has changed from my point of view. Family's close. I have two sisters, one in Quebec, one in Ontario. They're having it tough. You guys in Saskatchewan are having it tough. But here in the Maritimes, especially our area, because of Premier Higgs he's been pretty tough, and we're Quebec on one side and Nova Scotia's going through what they're going through, and then we've got Maine down below us, but we're doing okay, and hopefully, the light is the light at the end of the tunnel now.
Hey, just before I turn you loose on Lynch, he's got a million questions for you, just like he did for Jason Darras. Just tell us about the senior league, because I think there's a lot of jealous football people across this country saying, how come you guys can play 12-on-12 and we can't? Can you just talk about this senior league that the Mustangs play in?
Well, there's a lot of former university players, high school players that moved on and never had a chance to maybe give it another shot, and it's very sociable. We've got great facilities in around New Brunswick. We have a lot of, I don't know how many turf fields we have, and that was always because we can be rather nasty and with our weather down here. But it's really improved the game and lessened injuries and the people caught on to the idea that hey, I have another shot at playing football. So it's entertainment, and this this is a time when you want to be entertained. I mean, the mental stress, this whole COVID thing, and people want to be entertained, and I'm hopefully there's going to be a substantial gathering tomorrow.
Still, your career with the Roughriders, you played defensive back and punt returner, and you played a little bit of wide receiver, correct? At one or two occasions?
Well, I was a disaster defensive back. That means if three of the guys got hurt, they'd throw me in. Never practiced one down as a defensive back. I was a wide receiver initially, then inside receiver, returned punts, held for converts and field goals. So I got a lot of airtime for a guy who didn't play a whole bunch. So people got to see me. Perhaps my nature kind of ingrained me to the Saskatchewan people, because Ronnie Lancaster was the guy that gave me the green light that said, "You're good enough to play, Stu." And I'll never, ever be thankful enough to him for that. And he invited me to be a quarterback luncheon one time downtown. He'd bring an offensive player and a defensive player to this luncheon, and the business people from around would come in and have a quick 45-minute and get to ask the coach questions. And one of the questions they asked me, they said, being from out east, being a Maritimer, what do you think of Saskatchewan people? So what am I saying? And I got up and paused for a moment, and I said, I'll have to say that the people I've met in Saskatchewan are as close to Maritimers as I've ever met in this country. And there was a little bit of a pause. We like that. That's a good answer. So, I used to sing some old sea shanties when we had a winning game. What do you do with a drunken rider? That was a popular one that we always sang after we won. And it was the best place for me to play.
Okay, what about the big touchdown? Now, you did score one touchdown at punt return. I was broadcasting it. Can you describe it a little bit what happened? Because I know when you got the ball and started to run, you had the whole field to yourself. You walked into the end zone, and you actually looked like you're ticked off with the Bombers from coming after you. You crashed the ball down and then looked at the Bombers and sort of spite them. I think you gave them a couple of fingers because they didn't come after you. Everybody was amazed you could get open like that, and you just walked into the end zone. And actually, it was a key point in that particular game late in the fourth quarter. Have I embarrassed?
You remember it differently. The one I scored, it was about a 78-yard punt return against Montreal. And I caught the ball going towards our own end zone over my shoulder, pirouetted once, made one move and ran down the sideline in front of the bench. And I stepped into the end zone, and I just handed the ball to the ref, and I had to go hold the ball for, I think it would have been Ridge at the time. And I couldn't get to the huddle to call the play because all my teammates were jumping on top of me, and I had to fight my way through them so I could. But yeah, it was a highlight. I've never seen it. So if anybody can find it out there, I'd like to see it.
Stuart, Google has befuddled a lot of Lynch's stories, as you can remember. Right now, we can go to Google. We never used to be able to go to Google. Norm Fong, the great Norm Fong, is watching. The Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he says, "Rod, Stu once let Ridgeway kick a field goal off his nose." What's the story?
Oh, well, you have to trust each other, don't you? I mean, he trusts me, so I trust him. I don't know if Suter ever did that. I'm not sure if Suter had the gumption to do that. But yeah, we did that. It was kind of nice because we'd go down to the end of the practice field. There'd be Poley, myself, and Ridge, and and he was deadly accurate, as you all know. And we're just, well, what can we do? We're down here for another 5-10 minutes. Let's do something a little fun. So I said, yeah, I'll hold it. Oh, I mean, some of the things, sometimes our timing was so good that I wouldn't even pin it. I'd hold the ball with both hands, and I knew his timing. And just before he's about to strike my hands, I just lift them up. Did that in the game a few times. Not on purpose. It was just because I was fumbling the ball a little bit. But things like that are little things you remember. And like I said, I had so much fun. Both my wife Patty and I, we just love Saskatchewan. We've been out a number of times. As a matter of fact, speaking of Normie, when Darren presented the lobster here earlier, it reminded me of how we used to bring in lobster from Moncton Fish Market to the team. And the first year I was there, it was like $1,500. By the last year I was there, it was over a $5,000 order we'd bring in. And Normie hated it because it took a week to get the smell of the lobster and the mussels and the shrimp. Yes, you knew. He because he'd sit behind the counter and everybody's order was right there all ready to go, and he'd hand out shoes or cleats or jocks, whatever it is, but also their big seafood order. And we had the president, the team, everybody doing it. So I guess those little things is what made me endeared to the Saskatchewan people, and those little things like that, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. As a matter of fact,
yep.
Greg, my roommate, Greg Feger, sent me an email about a month ago. We were talking about COVID in Saskatchewan and how they were, social distancing. And they said, basically, you've got to keep the distance of a Stew Fraser punt return.
What an insult, eh?
But, you remembered, right? So I took it. I thought it was kind of funny.
It is funny. Stuart, listen. You said you love Saskatchewan. We love you, too. This has been amazing, and I'm so upset that we can't be out there, frankly, because that was the plan, to be there for the game. But we'll be watching online. I'm going to go over to Lynch's house. We're going to stream it because he wants to see it now and be a part of this. And that Touchdown Atlantic weekend, I think about it all the time. Maybe it was just another weekend to you guys, but to me, it was one of the greatest weekends of my lifetime. So thank you for hosting us the way you did. Good luck tomorrow. Thanks for the visits, and let's do it again maybe once the CFL gets rolling again.
I think you can get the game on, what was it, Darren? You can get the game on the Mustangs website. Darren's got his headphones in. Okay, I think you can go to the Mustangs website and you can give you the link of how you can watch the game. But yes, Welcome here anytime.
Awesome. Thank you, Stuart. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.
You're looking great, Stu.
Thanks a lot.
He is, isn't he, John?
Yeah,
he is. It's the Moncton living, the New Brunswick living.
Easy Moncton living.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.